Welcome back. We have our brave volunteers. Some of you know Farron and Rebecca because I guess they go to this church. And if I lived here, I would go to this church. You get to bring your coffee into the sanctuary, and I mean, it's just so hospitable, don't you think? Okay, so each of the couples that we interviewed, we asked one question to, and that's pretty much all I know. I said I would guess their style, so they didn't tell me what they were. But the question is, what bugs you the most about your spouse? And so we're going to take that as the opening question. It's a little tricky to start with this one at home. We'll give you some other suggestions. But we start with this one here just to try and help you see the value of extended listening. So I think I'm going to make you the listener first. And so you start, and sometimes I'll say, ask him this, and even though I've said the words, I want you to say it, even though I've already said it. Okay, so ask him, so Farron, what bugs you the most about me?
So Farron, what bugs you the most about me?
The fact that you don't set boundaries and that you can't say no.
How do you mean? Can you give me an example?
Well, you tend to allow your clients to manipulate your schedule instead of valuing the time for us at home.
So I hear you saying that I choose my career over family.
I don't know that you choose it, but it seems like we get what's left.
Okay, now let me just stop him for 1 second. She said back what she heard, and he corrected it. That's the value of saying back what you heard, because it's not exactly that. It's just, I just feel like maybe you don't have a choice, but that we get the leftovers. Okay, you're doing a great job. Okay, see if you can find out more.
How can I change that or make you feel that my clients don't come before you and the kids?
Set your schedule and don't always make exceptions, because they'll work their life around your schedule if they want to come and see you.
Okay, now we went a little bit to problem solving there. What can I do to fix this? So let's go in another direction and let's ask him about feelings. And I've got your word list here, so there's your can't have a conversation without it. Okay, so ask him when this happens, how it makes him feel.
When I don't choose you first, how does that make you feel?
Sometimes alone, maybe sad, because I come home and you're not there, and I wait sometimes for an hour or so, and I maybe fix dinner, you're not there. By the time you get there, we've already eaten or whatever, and so I guess detached sometimes. Sometimes if you say you're going to be at there a certain time and you're not, it makes me feel less kind of like you knew it was going to take longer, but you were trying to appease. It's not really a feeling, I guess.
Can you all hear him? Can you hear? Okay, just checking.
So when I miss dinner with you and the kids, that makes you feel alone?
Uneasy.
Can you explain why?
I just don't feel important.
So when I'm at work, I'm trying to better myself and have a career, and because I want you to be proud of me. And so it's hard for me to say no because I want you to be proud of me for the business that I've built. Does that make sense?
Okay, did you see her go out of the listener role? It's okay. It's really easy to do. It's way easier for them to see it than for you to see it. Okay, she's trying to explain now why, why she has this dilemma and that ultimately her motives are good, which I'm sure they really are. But it's like the focus, I want you to just completely focus on your goal as being the listener is to get into Farron's body and to see everything through his eyes, through his feelings as much as possible. Okay, so say back some of the feelings you heard.
I heard you say that you feel lonely, and I'm sorry, I don't remember anything else. Abandoned?
Okay, thank you so much. This is the harder role right here. He gave her a lot of feelings, probably 4 or 5, but she can only remember 1 because so often in the conversation, we're building our defense to talk them out of why they feel like they're feeling instead of going further into the feeling. So just review, give her the top 3.
I remember what they were.
Look again, they're still there.
Alone was one. I think I said unimportant.
Unimportant.
Okay, now we're going to back this up in time. So I want you to ask him if when he was a child, he experienced those same kinds of feelings.
Farron, when you were a child, did you experience those same kind of feelings?
Yeah.
Can you tell me about those memories?
I don't remember a lot of times when I couldn't think of a comforting moment yesterday. Can't think of times when I really felt the love of my parents. They divorced when we were, when I was young, and when they were together, it was violent and ugly most of the time. And so so I always felt alone there because I didn't.
So when I work a lot and I'm not home for you, do you feel like that we might end up that way? Like your parents?
I don't know if it's that or it's just the feeling of being alone because you're not there.
So ask him what he did when his parents fought.
What did you do when your parents were fighting?
I tried to stay out of the way. I hid. I'd usually go to my room and just hide and hope that it didn't spill into my room, whatever the tirade was about. Tried to stay out of the way.
Ask him if it did ever spill into his room.
Did it ever involve you? Did they ever come in your room when you were hiding?
I don't remember them coming into my room, but I remember my mom taking me and my brothers out and getting in a vehicle and trying to leave, and my dad stopping her. And I recall that they both had guns that night. I probably never shared that with you.
Wow. Okay, what do you see right now?
You must have been scared, and I don't ever want you to feel alone.
Okay, do you see, what's the feeling you see in his eyes?
Sad little boy.
Okay. Just tell him what you see. I see.
A sad, scared little boy.
And when you see that, touch. Whenever you see a feeling, reach out and touch. You know, whether you just touch a knee or you take a hand, somewhere, put your hand on that other person and tell them, I see you. I can't imagine being a little kid, so validate his alone feelings and his
I'm
fear.
sorry you had to go through that when you were that small. And I can't imagine how scared you were. I'm sorry you weren't comforted like you should have been.
Mm. Can you see how he'd feel alone? Talk about that feeling with him.
I never want you to feel like you're alone.
Well, that's going to be impossible because it's an old feeling for him. It's like he's going to feel like that a lot.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, so the goal is not for him to not feel it. The goal is for him to tell you when he feels it so that you can offer comfort to him. Because there's a lot of uncomforted memories back there, aren't there?
Yeah.
Okay, so so now tie the present. No wonder when I'm not home, I can see why you would feel. A validating statement is just a statement that affirms, oh, well, no wonder. It's making sense of their feelings and understanding why they have them. So can you do that?
I can totally see where you could feel unimportant and alone and the second pick in our marriage. And I'm sorry.
Okay, and Rebecca, I really appreciate your apology because I can tell, you really feel it. But it's like if you apologize too quickly or it's offering empathy.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like sometimes it's kind of like a signal, okay, that's the end of the conversation. I'm sorry, so now we're done. Or I'm sorry you had to go through that, now we're done. So if you're going to say you're sorry, just say, I really want to understand and hear more about this part of your life. So just tell him that.
I really want to understand you more and understand more about this part of your life.
Well, most of it I don't think too much about. So it's, sometimes I don't understand why I react the way I do. But obviously what I'm learning is that it's from things that I just choose to ignore.
Is there anything else?
Wow.
That's a great question.
Probably on a time schedule. So. I guess my question is, should we stay on the topic of what the original question was, or do we go, because...
You have a lot of memories, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and just say the thing that's on your mind.
I don't ever remember anybody ever, when my parents got divorced, my dad sat us down and tried to explain it to us. The whole time my mom was in the background screaming at him. What I remember about that is he wasn't doing it to make us feel better. He was doing it to torture her. Mm-hmm. And it just made me not want to. I don't want to deal with what I saw from him. Was I didn't want to deal with. He didn't want to deal with what was really going on. So he pushed it off on her. And so I see me doing a lot of those type things. So sometimes it's not you, it's that I don't deal well with me.
Wow. How vulnerable was that? Okay, so say back what you heard.
Because of what you experienced as a child, that has kind of bled into our marriage, and you want me to know that it's not about me sometimes, it's just about you. Is that right?
It's about the things that I refuse to look at, yeah. I don't want to be vulnerable, even to you.
How can I help you with that?
That's a good question.
Just, I think asking the questions. That we make time and space to do that. Because the more you ask, the more I remember.
I can see that this makes you sad, talking about this.
Yeah.
And I want to hear more.
Do you see how intent his eye gaze is right now? He's really looking in your eyes to see if he can believe you. Aren't you?
Yeah.
Are you?
I am.
Okay. When you see really intent eye gaze, a lot of times in these speaker listeners, it goes to that place where there's just this intense gaze, and it's like a real look into someone's soul. Do you really want to know? There's a lot of pain down there.
That's true.
But you know what? You won't know your husband, and he really won't know himself until you tie those memories to his current reactivity. Does that make sense? Because he's saying he doesn't know why he always does the things he does. Right? So what was he inviting you to do right there? Say it back in your own words. So what you want from me is?
What you want from me is to make time so we can sit and talk about the things that happened in your childhood so I can better understand you. We have to have that important time, the quiet time and the alone time, just you and me, one-on-one.
Yeah.
Is that right?
And I think that it just takes a lot to get, because, I haven't thought about some of this stuff in a really long time.
Thank you for sharing it, trusting me with it.
Yeah. It's a great thing to say. Okay, so are you comfortable praying out loud? Okay, would you take his hands and pray for him?
Dear Lord, I just pray and lift my husband Farron up to you right now. He had a rough childhood, Father, and you were there with him all along. Will you just comfort him and let him know that I'm here for him and I can help him. I'm his wife. I love him. Let him not protect or hold it in or push it down or just try to stuff it. Just let him know he can talk to me at any time. And Lord, make me aware that I need to carve out that time and I need to make him the priority of my life. I just thank you for this time, Lord. Amen.
Thank you, Rebecca. You did a great job. How did Rebecca do? Good job. And how do you feel about the level of vulnerability that this man was willing to do? take a deep breath. All of you take a deep breath. Don't forget to breathe while you're watching. Okay, now we're going to reverse roles, and you can see just from that was 15 minutes. Okay, now you're going to ask her what bugs you the most about me.
Do I have to?
Yeah.
Okay.
Turn around, fair is playing.
Becky, what bothers you about me?
The thing that most bothers me about you is your anger, and it scares me sometimes.
So, my anger scares you.
Yes.
How does it scare you?
I feel like I'm walking on eggshells around you at times. You're unpredictable, unapproachable. Fearful.
What was the last thing?
Fearful.
Oh, fearful.
So, what makes you fearful?
In the past, I've seen you lose control and throw things, kick things, punch the wall, yell, curse. And I don't know what to do when you act that way. It scares me.
Okay, give her the feeling word list and ask her how it makes her feel besides scared.
Besides scared, how does it make you feel?
Feel worried and stressed. Tense, paralyzed, traumatized. Sad, depressed. Confused.
Okay, pick the one that surprises you the most.
Okay, talk up a little louder.
Oh, talk a little.
You talk louder.
Oh, I talk a little louder? Okay, so what I want you to do is always pick the feeling that surprises you the most. And if none of them do, you can really follow up with any feeling. But if you hear a feeling like, oh, that one surprises me, always find out more about that one, because obviously you know the least about it.
What about, you said I make you feel traumatized. Can you tell me what makes you feel that? I don't understand that.
I guess when we're going through it, it's a huge ordeal, and then at the end, I just feel like I can't do this the rest of my life with you. I mean, it's got to get better. We can't keep going around and around and around and doing this every time. And so, after we've made up, so to speak, I'm still a little bit traumatized by, will it happen again the next time we're out on the lake? Or, I'm always a little bit tense about those situations where it happened.
Okay, now back it up in time and ask her if feeling traumatized or confused or frozen or paralyzed are childhood feelings.
Is traumatized and confused. Are those feelings that you had as a child?
Absolutely.
Can you tell me about those? A time when you felt that way?
I can remember being a little girl and being asleep in my bedroom, which was in a common area of our home. And my mom and dad were fighting in front of me, and they were breaking dishes and screaming at each other and cursing at each other, and somehow I got in the middle of it, and Dad was holding her down on the ground, and he was telling me, and Mom was telling me to call Grandma, and Dad was telling me not to call Grandma, and I was right in the middle of it, and I didn't know what to do.
Hey, what'd you see?
I see I see you're very sad. But that makes you just, you go back to that place and it's really an ugly place. I see that you're scared, afraid.
Just really scared.
And the word I hear too, Rebecca, is confused. Like, I don't know what to do. And you said when Baron gets really angry, you get that overwhelmed feeling again. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And so you feel tense because if something happens, you feel very helpless and like you don't know what to do. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. So ask her what she needs from you.
Becky, what is it that you need from me?
I need you to try and remain calm. I know that I frustrate you, and sometimes all I need is for you just to hold me and love on me, and I don't need you to fix it or try and figure me out. And if you could just remain calm.
Do you want me to remain calm, just hold you and not try and fix you?
Right.
Okay. Is that going to be a tall order? Yeah, it is. It is going to be a tall order. But it's like at least you know kind of where you're going. It's like, okay, so just for the sake of time, I want you to validate what you heard from her in terms of, I want you to kind of tie this together. So when I'm angry in the present.
So when I get angry, it makes you have feelings that of being scared or traumatized. And those are feelings that come from things that happened to you when you were a little girl. And you want me to just hold you and not try and fix you, and just comfort you when those times happen.
Yes.
And remain calm.
Yes.
It's kind of important.
Yes.
Say, are you asking for comfort after one of those episodes or?
No.
Oh, I didn't think so. Like ahead of time.
Right.
Okay. So how would he know you need comfort?
I think that we need to have a way of communicating that's saying we need to talk about this before we get to that where you're angry. You know, the calm before the storm. So if there's something that you can feel welling up in you, then you know you're about to, if I'm about to make you snap or whatever, if we could have a sign, a timeout, or, you know what I mean?
I think so, yes.
Okay, so is that really doable for you at this point? Can you feel the buildup, or is it such a fast trigger that you're there before you know what happened?
Sometimes I feel it coming, but there's times when it's just like
Where'd
And
that come from?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So in general, in your marriage, what does Farron do when he's stressed?
Bites his fingernails.
Okay. I want you to really pay attention to that. Because I am going to guess that when he starts biting his fingernails, something's brewing in there that needs to be talked about. And if you don't pay attention to that, it's going to come out sideways.
Okay.
Okay? What does she do when she's stressed?
She's short. She doesn't. She's not real. I think of the right word. She normally when everything's good, she's just bubbly, and but when it's not good, she's really shut down, I guess.
Okay, that's your signal to go in for a trip around the comfort circle. Do you see how they do different things? You all do different things when you're stressed. Some of you eat, some of you sleep, some of you work, some of you clean, some of you drink. You all do different things. You need to understand, what does your spouse, what does your kids, what does the person you're dating do when they're stressed? And that's when you invite them. I can tell you're stressed. Let's sit down and go around the comfort circle. I can just tell you're not okay. And then, of course, you have to be willing. Mm-hmm. Or vice versa. I can tell you're not okay, Rebecca. Let's sit down and go around the comfort circle and see if we can get underneath that abruptness. Okay, would you hold her hands and pray for her?
Father God, I just come and ask that you just be with us, be with Becky, and comfort her in those times that when those feelings start to well up, that she feels your presence, Lord, that she knows that you're there. Help us to know each other's triggers so that we know when we need to back off and do things a different way, Lord. We ask all this in your Son's name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Okay, just stay for 1 second. Okay. How many of you relate to something this couple said? You guys look out so you can see. How many of you relate to some part of what they're sharing? See how much company you have out there? I want you to see a couple things from the speaker listener. First of all, they each have the past flooding into the present. He has a lot of trauma in his background and no ability, or a lot of unresolved grief that he's buried and never looked at, really. Mm-hmm. And so he says, I do these things, I have these reactivities, and I don't even know where they're coming from. I hope you know where they're coming from after today. Mm-hmm. There is a little boy in there that desperately needs comfort. He needs that eye contact. We're going to demonstrate a holding. You guys are such prime candidates for holding times, to where you become his comforter of those childhood wounds, and he becomes your comforter for your childhood wounds. And the more you process those with each other and allow the tears or the anger to come up that is really about here and here instead of here, you will find the triggers will die down in their intensity. But do you sometimes work a lot to get away from his anger?
Maybe not
consciously.
Aware of it, not consciously,
Yeah.
but yes, I would agree.
Okay. So it's like you can see how they've got this core pattern in their marriage where he's mad, she's like, oh, well, I'm just going to, if I'm away, I don't have to be exposed to that. Oh, now I feel alone like the lost little kid. Okay, that makes me madder. And there we go, around and around. So you can see how at the root of these surface behaviors that are a problem in their marriage are childhood wounds. And that they actually re-injure each other in the same ways they were injured as kids. We all do that. She re-injures him by not being available, and he re-injures her by traumatizing her. So, but when you start to see the boxcars behind Rebecca, and you start to see the boxcars behind Farron, and you explore them, you will start to have some real compassion for why he sometimes has such a hard time controlling himself, and he will be better at controlling himself. You will have a better understanding of how you're traumatizing her and that you're putting her right back into that little girl place. And that will help you be more compassionate toward her and more willing to control your anger. But unresolved grief is going to be the key. So what do you think Farron is? I'd say probably controller.
Yeah.
Okay, because, and you can see, it's my exact point, my heart goes out to you. You have all those horrific childhood things, and they pushed you into that place where you're going to control your world, and you have those hair trigger reactions, and you don't even know where they're coming from. They're strong. And then I would say you're probably, I'm going to guess, either a pleaser / victim, although you may have a little vacillator. Do you get angry too?
Yes.
You get angry back, then vacillator?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it's an intense, I bet sometimes you get pretty intense with each other.
Yes.
Okay.
Very volatile.
Okay. And it's like, do you have kids?
Yes.
Okay, and so see, this is how it goes from generation to generation. It's like, as much as, I know you guys love the Lord, or you wouldn't be sitting here. I know you have a heart for God, or you wouldn't be sitting here. But yet the past makes it difficult for you to apply all the one another's. It's like, well, be angry and don't sin. Oh, okay. Just do it, Farron. Try harder, Farron.
Yeah.
But until you go back and really look at the wounds, your anger is from your childhood wounds, and your anger is from your childhood wounds. So you pay close attention to this holding time, okay?
Okay.
All right, let's hear it for this couple. Huh?
Got a quick comment.
Oh, okay, he has a quick comment before you guys go.
Am I up? So, Farron, where were you in the birth order in your family?
Second.
Second, how many were there?
Well, my initial family, there was 3.
Okay, so we're talking multiple families here?
Yeah.
Okay, so you were in the middle of the birth order, so were
Yeah.
you kind of overlooked a lot?
Yeah, probably.
Okay, so there's another factor, he was overlooked a lot. He wasn't just in this chaotic situation, the middle child syndrome, overlooked. What was your role in that family?
As we grew older, I became the adult in the family.
Oh, so you became the parentified child, the parent child. It's a lot of responsibility. And when you were having all that responsibility as a child, did it feel like this massive burden upon you to not know what to do?
Sometimes.
Okay, and when she's gone, do you feel a lot of responsibility, like I'm on my own here and I'm not really sure what to do?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's another boxcar you want to explore. And maybe also one of the biggest issues for Farron is going to be predictability. In other words, if you're late, if you can call and say, honey, I'm going to be late, or whatever you call him. What do you call him besides honey? What?
Easy.
Honey's good.
What, honey's good? Okay, good. Honey.
Honey's
Honey-
better than some of the other things she called
Yeah,
me.
yeah. So, honey, I'm going to be a little late, or I know you were thinking I was going to be home at 6, but I'm going to be home at 6:20. And so you can count on that, or I'm going to be as close to that. I think that's my new target. Would that make you feel better if you had something like that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so predictability is going to help. And surprises, he doesn't like.
Okay.
Now, if you can't make a client happy, does that make you all of a sudden feel very unraveled? I have to take care of this client and make them happy?
Yes.
So that's what keeps you propelled out into the career thing. So all the nice, I want you to be proud of me stuff is true,
Right.
but also deeper, at a deeper level, you want to please those clients and you're frightened when you don't.
Correct.
Okay. So it's fear sometimes, not her not liking you, it's fear of her clients that's propelling her back into that behavior, taking care of them.
And I have one more thought on that. Do you get more praise from your clients than you do from him?
What do you do?
Oops.
I'm an esthetician.
An esthetician. Okay. Would you do my makeup under the hot lights next time we're here, please?
Absolutely.
Thank you. So you go ahead with your
Well,
thought.
my thought is sometimes the work world is a place where we get more praise than we do in our marriage. And isn't that sad? You know, and then you get this ugly core pattern going, and there's even less likely to be appreciations expressed and praise for the things that are going right or that each of you are trying to do well. So, but you can see if we can get this core pattern to die down, how you would want to come home.
Right.
Yeah, more than maybe you do now. To the end, it's unpredictable for you too, because you don't know how he's going to be.
Right.
Right. Okay, and you know, I just want to say at the end of our time, we are going to have, for those of you who can stay and want to stay, we're going to have a question time, and what we find is people ask the same question, so we're going to do a group question and answer first. So if you're dying to ask a question and we haven't given you a chance, we're really sorry, but we will give you an opportunity at the end of our time if you can stay.
Okay, so this will be the end of session 7, and let's give
hear
it up for
these
this couple.
two. Good job, you guys.
Good job.
All right.